Okay, so today we're going to make a quick video about how to correctly set up a serrated back cutter block. So it's a question quite often asked by us through the course of traveling to different operations. So there's a great opportunity for us to go through the correct procedure in how to set them up. So what we've got here, I've got a serrated back cutter block. I've got a set of a pair of knives. Now I've got them as a blank set, but they can be profiled of any shape. They are balanced pairs to 0.1 of a gram. I have some filler bars here, which I'll explain to you as I'm fitting them in. And obviously I've got the tools in which to set the cutter block up. So I firstly put the cutter block on a shaft. You can do this on a bench. It's not a big problem in what you do here. But I take that off. I've got the wedge bar and I'll insert the filler bar first. So the filler bar here is it's a mild steel serrated back steel in which we fit the knives in the cutter block and we do them up against that mild steel plate, but it goes into the serrations of the cutter block. So we're not squashing the wedge bar up against the serrations. We're actually doing it up against a mild piece of steel. So again, I'm just going to set them up. I've got a straight edge on one side and I just put them all so they're aligned and I nip them up from the middle and make my way to the outside like previous videos have shown. So you always start in the middle and you make your way to the outside. Now do the opposing knife. Take that out, put the knife in. You can see the serrations. And before I do that, I check the serrations here. Oh, I've got one on the inside. And that's got to come out one. So I'm actually in the wrong serration. So we're just going to move that out one serration like that. Just to make sure that the serrations here are exactly the same for each pair. Once you have that, you know they are perfectly in balance and perfectly centered. So just nip up the middle one. I'm not torquing them up to finished, I'm just nipping those screws up. Now we go to the profile knives, open them up, and I'll put the knife in here and put them in a serration. We never start at the bottom and try to screw the serrations at the very bottom, because if you're out ever so slightly, the wedge will try to push it on and it will try to center the knife, but it could be only on one side of the serration. So you always want to be at the very one serration up from the bottom. Now, by all cutter heads, you can see this line. It's a maximum projection line. You do not want to extend the bottom of your knife beyond that line. This is the safety line. So if you get your knife to a point where it's at that line, you need to replace the knives. So from here, I'll go down the bottom, come up one serration, put my wedge bar in, let me do that up, center them with my straight edge on one side, nip them up, and now I go to the last pocket. Up. And again, I put my knife in and lift it up one serration. Alright, put my wedge bar in. And before I nip that up, what I do, I get a sharp or a pencil or a straight edge and I go, count the serrations. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So now I know that those two knives have the same amount of serrations protruding from the block as each other, so they are in the same pocket, which is critical here. So now that I know they're in the same pocket, I can go forward and use a straight edge, get them all aligned, nip them up here. So now all the knives are in the same serrations, whether it be the filler bar or the profile knives. We're below the safety line here. Everything is zeroed off one side, so they're in alignment. Now, I get my torque wrench, and Sarah, you might just check video here. So we've got the torque wrench preset. When it reaches its point, it pulls the little button out. Okay, so we're just going in. We're starting in the middle, working our way to the outside. And now we'll do the filler bars. The last filler bar in here. Okay. So now the cutter block is all pulled up together. The equal force against here when we tighten them up has all gone to make it uniform. So they're all done up at the same Newton meters as we require. The serrations are all in. The cutter knife is below the safety zone here. And now we know that the cutter block can safely go onto the machine and be used without any fear or failure. So a good test to make sure it is right is when your cutter block can go in and you can spin it on the shaft. If you know that if you haven't tightened one of them up correctly, you'll find that the cutter block can, instead of going around, it can go a bit egg-shaped and can get quite tight and sticky on the shaft. But you should be able to spin that cutter block very, very smoothly and very easily before, and that's a correct sign to say that is now done up right. So yeah, that's how to set up a serrated back knife and do your checkings to make sure you've got the same amount of serrations coming out on every single knife in order to make sure that your two pieces of knife steel that are balanced are sitting in the same pockets. So I hope that helps. Thank you.